This lesson is all about headers and sills. So doorway headers where there's doors, and then a header over a window and a sill where there's a window as well. So we're going to be referencing these narrow faces here on each opening. We need to be able to see. So you need to practice orbiting. Again, it's that center scroll wheel of your mouse. Click and hold and move your cursor from side to side. We don't want to look at, say, this one from this angle. It's really hard to see what's going on. We need to see the full face of it. Another note is that we are starting from within the group again. So we've got this dashed line here. If you're not seeing that, it means that you accidentally exited the group here and you don't have access to this geometry. This is going to be really important because we're going to be drawing right here. And if you accidentally draw on top of this, then it's not going to allow you to push-pull this face across here. You're not going to be able to draw the header in the way that we need to. So make sure that you are double-clicked into this group. You're seeing these dotted lines here, and you are able to select this face. A lot of people will accidentally group within groups. So if you triple-click and make another group, you've got a group within a group, and that's not what we're going for. So I'm going to undo that. And if you happen to do that on accident, so let's say you've got a group within a group, you can always right-click explode to ungroup something. So we just want to be able to have one wrapper. We select, we've got the wrapper here, double-click, and now you have access. So just one group. Don't group within the group just yet. All right, so we're inside of this, and if you happen to be, one more nuance to this, if you happen to be viewing it like this, and it's really hard to see from one inside of a wall to another, that means that you're still viewing it in parallel projection, and that's going to make it really hard on yourself to, draw in perspective. So we want to make sure that when we go to camera, perspective is checked. It makes it so much easier to work in 3D. All right, enough of that. Let's draw a header. So here, this one is going to be 7 feet tall. All of our doorways are going to be 7 feet. So we're going to grab a tape measure, T for tape, and you can click anywhere really on this. We can get, in this case, a guideline or guide points. It won't matter as much in this instance. So click release on the base here. We're looking for a green dot. It shouldn't be purple. It should be green. Click release and move your cursor upwards, that blue axis there. I'm going to type 7 feet, enter. And now you can see there's a little guide point here. So we've got guidelines and we have guide points. In this case, a point will suffice. I'll grab my line tool, L for line or the pencil icon, and now I can reference that point. It becomes a black dot. I can click release. It says guide point, click release, and move right along the inside of that wall thickness here. So click release on the opposite edge. And I want to make sure that it is red or green if we're on the adjacent wall, because if I go like that, it's as though we are drawing an angled header, and that's not good. Building, that's going to make it difficult to put the door in. So make sure that yours is along the red or the green, of course, if you're on the other side, so that we're nice and flush with the ground plane there. Click release to set that line, and when I hit spacebar and click on top and bottom, it should separate the two out. Now I can hit P for push-pull and pull the header across. So if you are trying to do this and it's going like this, if you're hovering here and this part is still highlighted and it's only allowing you to pull the bottom, that just means that that face is pre-selected. So it's only going to allow you to push-pull that face. To let go of that, you can tap your escape key. And now I can hover over any of these. So again, if you have a pre-selected face, it's only going to allow you to push-pull there. So hit escape to let go of that pre-selected face. Again, escape. Now I can push-pull this, click release, not click drag, click release. And we're going to bring it all the way to the opposite endpoint. Not too shy of it and not through it. Right up to this green dot here. It should say endpoint. Click release to set it. And now we have a doorway header. All right, we're going to do the same thing over here. But this time, instead of using a guideline or a guide point, we're going to create a point of inference. So I'm going to hit L for line and then hover for a moment. I'm not going to click here. I'm just going to hover. And you can see as I move away from it, that green string appears. So that's helpful if I were drawing along this wall, but I'm actually going to come over here and it becomes a black string. And that's letting me know that I'm crossing over the plane of this point. So that's really helpful. It's going to be right at 7 feet. Click release. And now in this case, like I said, we're moving along the green. And then click release on the opposite edge. Don't work on this from this view. Make sure you can see the interface of this. Now I can tap P for push-pull, click release, and set it at the opposite endpoint. Again, don't go through it. Don't be too shy of it. Right on that endpoint, click release. Same thing over here. L for line, hover to create that string, and then click release across. Again, green. I can tap P for push-pull and then double click. It's going to remember the previous distance because this is the same distance, and a double click remembers the last distance. So in some cases, it's not going to be applicable. It wouldn't have been applicable if I did this and then double clicked over here because that would have sent it too far. It would have been 5'11". That's not helpful in this case. All right. So now I'm going to keep going. L for line, and I'm going to hover for a moment to create that inference point, and you can see that we now have that string. If I accidentally hover over here for too long, I'm going to lose that last inference point. Oh, it's still going, so that's helpful. But let's say I hovered maybe over here. Now it's creating one there. So again, let's do this one. Hover, and then start to draw in these headers. And it's helpful if you batch draw. So if you have a lot of doorways that are at 7 feet, you can go around all of them and it will give you the same string as you're moving throughout the space. So you only need to draw this line on one side of each door because you're going to pull this across to the other side. So P for push pull, and we're going to pull it right here to this endpoint. And I think that this one's also 3 feet, so it's going to allow us to do the same distance. All right, so those are our headers. I realize there's some extra geometry in here. We're going to clean that up in just a moment. Let's add the window sills. These are going to be at 1 foot tall. So now I want to give us a different way to add these in. I'm going to tap L for line, and instead of using my guide lines or my guide points, I'm going to create another edge. So here with my line tool, I'll click and release on the ground, click release, move upwards, and I'm moving right along the blue axis. And I can type 1 foot, enter. And it healed the face, so that is something that we want to look out for. So I don't want this one. I'm going to select it, spacebar click, and tap delete. Now, when I go back to my line tool, I have a new endpoint. So that's this line here, and that when I hit my line tool, it gives me a new green dot. And that is just letting me know that I now have an endpoint to this line. So I can reference that green dot there, click release, and then move straight across. So in some cases, this is really helpful to just keep using your line tool. You go up and then over, and some people really like that method. It isn't actually my preferred, but I didn't want to skip over it because some people really like it. So I'm going to use that point of inference. I hovered for a moment, and then I draw straight across the green axis there. All right, we're going to hit P for push-pull, and same thing, double-click. All right, so now we have doorway, windows, and headers, and I am going to clean this up. I'm going to grab my eraser tool, E for eraser, or this guy here. We're going to click and drag across all of these edges. So we want to make sure that we are not erasing edges that we don't intend to erase. You can see that I accidentally erased this floor here, and I lost a lot of geometry. All of those faces were being held in by that edge. So if I lose it, I lose those faces as well. And we want to make sure, again, that we're not clicked out of this group. We want to make sure we are editing the group, because if I erase any of these, it erases the whole group. So again, double click spacebar, double click into the group, and then use the eraser. All right, so we're just cleaning these up. And in future courses, I talk about a faster way to clean this up, but it is good practice to just, use the eraser here and clean these up this way. All right. So if you happen to use the pan tool and you add the shift key, you can see that the eraser now has a little eyelash or a closed eye next to it. And that means that it's hiding something. You can see down here in our clues in the bottom, with the eraser tool active, shift equals toggle hide. So I don't actually want to hide these edges because they'll still be there. They'll just be hidden. And I don't want that. So I'm going to undo that and just hit regular old E for eraser and erase those. So if you ever happen to see that, that's what's going on. You probably used your shift to pan and your eraser turned to hide. And on that note, whenever you are using a tool, you can always look in the lower left-hand corner for more hints on how to use that tool. I have the select tool active now, hit your space bar, and it says if I hold down shift, I can add or subtract from that selection. So that's a really handy way to use the bottom left information panel. Just kind of keep an eye on it and look for extra clues. And we will be using those clues, which are also called modifier keys, often in all of the courses. All right, if you created any guidelines or guide points, you can go to Edit, Delete Guides. And I am also at this point closed out of the group. If you just click on it once, it becomes selected. You can see the blue edges there, and the bounding box is now extruded. I have a box over here. We don't need that. I'm just going to delete it. That was part of an example when I was grouping that. Sorry to leave that there. All right, so we're cruising right along. In the next one, we're going to add a ceiling. And I hope that this is going well for you. I know that we're moving fast. Way to hang in there. If you have any problems, of course, email me and let me know what you're having trouble with or you have questions on. But this is what we should be seeing right now. All right, let's add a ceiling to this in the next lesson.